Welcome, everyone, to Mindful Leadership Beyond Borders. This is Betska, the Guru Coach, together with my co-host, Vashisht from Delhi, India. I'm from Vancouver Island, Canada, and our guest today is Mr. Ken Keis. Now, I've known Ken for many years. He's an extraordinary human being, and you're going to learn a lot from him. Every time I hang out with him, I learn a lot. So let me just introduce him briefly before we get into our topic today, which is assessment, the importance of assessment. So quick bio, Ken Keis is a PhD. He's a leading global authority on behavioral and personality assessments. Now, keywords, leading global authority. His businesses all around the world, and he's an expert in leadership, purpose, and wellness. I've been using their assessments for many years, and I can vouch for the clarity of them and the power of them. And Ken is president and CEO of Consulting Resorts Group International. We call them CRG. And this company has served thousands of organizations worldwide. With over 4 million words of content authored, he's very prolific, as you can tell, including 4 books and a dozen assessments. Dr. Ken is also a respected author, speaker, coach, mentor, and media guest. And you're going to feel the power of his voice as he speaks today. His latest books include Why Aren't You More Like Me? Deliberate Leadership and the Quest for Purpose. An engaging public speaker, Dr. Ken has conducted over 3,000 presentations and 10,000 hours of coaching and consulting. His passion lies in helping individuals live, lead, and work on purpose. And he has a free gift book to give you, The Quest for Purpose, and we'll put that in the on top of the video here, or below it, so you can see how you can order that book. So welcome, Ken. Nice to see you.
Well, nice to be here, Raj and Betska, and thank you for that kind introduction. Yes, we have known each other for a very long time. So at the peril of self-disclosure, I'm certified coach under you. You're certified associate under CRG. And we go back to 1992 when we got to know each other, when we started that Kreiser project way back when.
Yes.
So
oh my God.
we're dating ourselves. I know we look young. We don't look a day over 40. Maybe Raj doesn't. But it's just nice to kind of hang out and play again. And we've been on this development path together. So
Yes.
Thank you for having me on with your special audience.
Well, it's absolutely vital that we talk about assessments. So let me ask you a question. How did you even get into the field of assessments? I don't think I know that story, or if you told me, I forgot.
Well, it was interesting because I was going to our local printer. I'd entered into the training and development field through sales training. I was a #1 sales performer in the agricultural industry, and then my friend was starting a franchise for called Achievers International, and they were going to be doing sales training. And I knew that I wasn't going to stay as an agricultural sales rep forever. I bought the franchise, and in there was this little micro assessment, which was poorly done around personality. It was just something that was kind of, on a kitchen table and a napkin. And get this, you talk about synchronicity and just timing. I go to our local printer in our #1 tool, which is the personal style indicator. That tool was sitting on the counter at the printer, and I picked it up and I asked the printer, "Who's this?" Well, within a week, I was connected to CRG. This is 1990. And then within a couple of weeks, I was the VP of marketing of the company. And so then that's how it moved into.
Wow.
And Dr. Anderson, who had founded the company in 1979. So at the time that we're recording this podcast, that is 46 years. Can you even fathom that? And this is my 36th year in this business. And I said, yes, I do look young. And then it was just this growth time. I became, with you, we were in the Kreiser project. And then we ended up getting the sole source contract to develop all the programs in Kreiser for about 7 or 8 years. And then we inserted assessments into many of the solutions and the programs that we were doing. We were one of the top 3 associates for CRG globally. And whenever we did that, they were the highest rated programs. So we saw the
Ah.
impact. It was the sales style indicator, it was the personal style indicator, it was the values indicator, it was the leadership skills. So we were just looking at, okay, people want to do this, but they want to have a tool and a resource that is developmental. Because a lot of times when you think about assessments, they are evaluated. There's something I do to you versus something I do with you. And that's why
Mm.
people appreciate our approach. It's not to say that one is better than the other, they are different. And that's why we believe assessments are so important. And if I would segue for those that are watching and listening, Dr. Tasha did a book called Insights, which was a New York Times bestseller. And I've mentioned this research on your podcast before, but it bears repeating. She did research, said, what percentage of people believe that they are self-aware and awake? Right? You do the coaching with leaders, right, Betska?
Yes, I
And
do.
and
Yeah.
and and 95% of people believe that they were conscious awake and their opinion of self matched well, how other people experience them. Then
Mm.
Tasha had her students go back into the marketplace and around them, said, okay, this is how Betska sees herself. How do you see her, Ken? How do you experience her?
Hmm.
It was less than 10% that were aligned or congruent. 85% of people are delusional. They don't know
Yeah.
that they don't know that they don't know. So,
Yeah.
part of the goal of this whole idea of assessments or reviewing or reflection or feedback, whatever it is, like I do some of the Marshall Goldsmith stakeholder feedback where you interview people around individuals, it's the same process, is to say, where are we missing it? People don't know
Yeah.
that they don't know that they don't know. And if you don't know, then what's the likelihood you're going to change anything? So when we think
Hmm.
about assessment in life, we do every kind of measurement. You go into your car, whether it's an EV or gas, and you find out what's the charge on the car. Is it like 100 kilometers left, 100 miles left? Is it a quarter tank of fuel? You're always looking at what if I was to take that away and every morning when you get in your vehicle, if you're driving, you get to guess what's in it. You don't know
Hmm.
what it is. And you say, well, am I going to run out right now? Am I going to? Well, most people
Wow.
are running their lives this way, Betska or
Great
Raj.
analogy. I love that analogy. That makes a
So if
ton of
you're
sense.
if you're looking at that, then you don't know that you don't know. And there's
Hmm.
this consternation or stress because I don't know how much fuel is left in my car. And all of us
Mm.
that when we were students, we
Hmm.
owned that car going to school and university because we didn't have any money. So the gauge doesn't work. I don't know. I'll fill up every Friday with a couple of bucks because that's what I need. So so this sin of omission, and what's really shocking, I think, is that most people will spend more money on entertainment this weekend when they than they will spend on themselves. They'll go have
Yeah. Yes.
$50 or
Yes.
$100, whatever the
Hmm.
money is, Raj, in India that the people are using there, if it's US or rubles or whatever. And they'll spend 100 or $200 on an entertainment weekend, but they won't spend $100 on an assessment. Oh, that's too much.
Yeah.
Compared to
Uh-huh.
what? Compared
True.
to what? So it's a value set for people too that they need
Hmm.
to understand.
It's the same with coaching. People wanting to be coached, or they don't want to be coached. They don't even see the value in it. And we know
Same.
the value of it. We know the value of doing
Yeah.
assessments first and then coaching someone, but it's like a blind spot, Ken.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we go back in psychology, the Johari window, which you teach, which we
Hmm.
teach, been there
Yeah.
forever. And
Hmm.
most people don't know that they don't know, or they
Yeah.
even have these parts of them that they know about themselves, but self-disclosure. So I don't
Yeah.
know if Betska, if you remember playing the board game at our certification, which was called Know Me. And so
Oh
in the
yes.
evenings we play the board game, and in that board game, it's kind of like a facilitated game, adult game. It's all kind of set up with game theory to give and receive feedback. Most people are
Hmm.
not good at that, even
No.
to the point of saying a compliment. So we're actually playing this with family members the other day and receiving a compliment. Ken, I really appreciate the fact that how you love our grandchildren or our children, your grandchildren, yada yada yada. And for a lot of times you'll say, well, that was nothing, rather than saying thank you. I mean, it's one of the things that you teach is how do I
Hmm.
actually receive that? And then you have many people watching this who are coaches, professional developers, leaders, parents. And if you can't receive feedback, then how could you possibly, from an authenticity point of view, be able to give it? So, this
Yeah.
ability to give and receive is the other side is we withhold feedback. Now, we believe in the concept, and this is Marshall Goldsmith stuff, feed forward, meaning what I want to move towards, right? Rather than the past. So CLI and what you do is really help people to release from the traumas of the past so that they don't hinder the future. And that needs to be done. At the same time, we want to say, what am I moving towards? The old model of counseling, which is go over and over and over the trauma, doesn't free people. It doesn't, because you're just trying to actually put in the cellular level, because we both believe this, of the trauma, and they keep like hitting this head. Like if you hit your thumb with the hammer, move your thumb. Stop doing that, right?
And actually, therapy can be, I mean, there's some awesome therapists out there, but it can be dispiriting for people because of what you just said.
Absolutely. Because if I don't move towards the coaching side, the development side, then I get stuck in just reliving the trauma. So, I can't go into some private stuff that occurred with situations where people have been anchored, and you know this, Betska and Raj, as coaches, for 20, 30, 40 years, where they let incidents and they still, it's almost like they wear it as a victim badge of honor. They don't know anything else. So from assessment's point of view, there's all different ways to do it, but we believe in developmental assessments, assessments that really help people to transform their lives. Meaning I can take this information. You know what? If the tank is empty, I pull into a gas station or a plug in for an EV and I fill it up. I don't just keep driving. So most people, their tank is empty and they keep driving. They don't do the coaching, they don't do the assessment, and they wonder why they are stranded on the side of the road. And that is because they have not done this work. They've not filled up the tank. They've not put fuel in it that is contributing to their growth and their movement.
Wow. Ken, I know you've got a slide that let's do some sharing here, because basically what I'd like to talk about for the next few minutes is what are the top benefits to assessments from a personal perspective and also from a leadership. Let's start with that. So
let's go back to this, Dr. Tasha's research. 85% of people are delusional. They don't know that they don't know. So what do? I get a benchmark, the fuel gauge, your accounting with your accountant, your bank account, whatever it is assessments in whatever way that they do, they create a point of clarity. And it doesn't matter where I'm at. I know you use our leadership skills. It's a benchmarking tool. I don't even know what the skills are, but then what level do I have? The other thing that we do, which we have this image now on the screen, if you're listening via audio, then maybe go to the YouTube or wherever it is posted to see the visual representation, where we believe that you need to develop the whole person. Yeah. So when we think about, a lot of times people say, well, I took an assessment. Well, hang on. The gas tank does not measure the air in the tires. There's multiple facets that link to it. That doesn't measure the oil that's in the engine. That doesn't measure the level of the transmission fluid, whatever. So, or the thickness of the brake pad. So we have all these components in a vehicle that we attend to so that it's fully maintained. Well, why wouldn't we do that for ourselves? So this image, what we call the personality development factors model, is proprietary to CRG. And we put it together as a visual representation. And then it's not all the factors, of many factors that contribute to my personhood. And so it's not any single item that contributes to it. I need to develop the whole person. So some people get into personality assessments. Well, guess what? That's not enough. So let me just quickly go through these 7 areas, and then we can come back with more detail in another segment. So when we think about the red area in our image here, it says, for those of you just listening, it says personal style preferences. So that's where the personality, where you use the DISC or the personal style or Enneagram or MBTI. We actually created ours because we wanted to create a different sort of experience. And that's where our personal style indicator came in. And we believe that all of us are born with a natural predisposition, a certain personal style. Then we talk about biophysical factors. So you use our wellness assessment. I have a diploma in nutrition and genetics. So you and I could have the identical personality or personal style or DISC style, but one who has got no sleep last night and the other person who did. or they're not feeling 100%. So now all of a sudden, and when we think about it, now we're in North America, Raj, you're in India, so you're better off, I think. But North America, the most unhealthiest countries in the world are the US, Canada, UK, Australia, and New Zealand. Mexico's right in there very tight. Why is that? Because they got into this processed food thing. They got into all this sugar. They got on the
Yeah.
so no matter what, I am now affecting my ability as a personhood to contribute because I don't have the sleep, I have the blue light, I have all these other things. That's a whole, session on its own. So now I'm looking at the biophysical factors. We go to the left side, we talk about self-worth. Excuse me. Everybody's talking about mental health and wellness these days. So we created an assessment called the self-worth inventory, just finished the Unlock Your Confidence online course on this area. And this is really about how does my mindset, how do I think and feel about myself? So you and I could have the same personality, one with low self-worth, one with high self-worth. How do I rebuild that? What are the contributing factors? So we believe what we call situational self-worth, family, work, peers, friends, and all these different dynamics. And so that contributes to it. Environmental systems, excuse me, is when we think about that, Raj, you're in India, we're in Canada. How we think about life is a little bit different, right? So we have these environmental systems. My apologies. Speaking so fast, my throat's getting behind me. So, and where we grew up. So if I'm in New Delhi, or if I'm Vancouver Island, or if I'm in LA, or if I'm in El Salvador, or if I'm in Afghanistan, I'm going to have sort of these environmental systems influencing my perspective. Then we talk about social teachers. So these are really the relationships that I had growing up, the relationships that I have now. There's all that stats that say that, hey, listen, I am really a reflection of my five closest friends because they're influencing you. How did your mom and dad teach or treat each other? What were sort of the cultural nuances? And then you have a values card. We have a values assessment. And when we also believe what we call internal motivators, which is complementary that your deck and what we're doing with our assessment. So that comes into play. Emotional anchors. This is the area that CLI and what you do so well, Betska, which is removing any kind of emotional anchor that's both positive or negative that's affecting me in life. Maybe I had a trauma. And so you and I have the same personality, one with trauma, one without. And so that's influencing who we are. And then the very center of this factors model is the word spirituality. And
Yes,
so,
I saw that. Awesome.
and so we added that after I bought the company, Betska, because people's belief system highly influences what they do and what they don't do. And somebody
Yeah.
said, well, listen, I don't believe anything. Well, then that is something because nothing is something to a human being. So if you don't believe that there is a higher power or that there's something else going on, that's going to influence how you see life, how you embrace life. So when we think about assessments, when we think about development, we want to develop the whole person. One is not better than
Yeah.
another. They are all important. You have the greatest car in the world, tires are flat, doesn't matter. Greatest car in the world, the tank's empty, doesn't matter. So all of these factors come into play to contribute to my personhood. And we believe that assessments really should represent the whole person, not any single one.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. Thank you for sharing that, Ken. Folks, we're going to take a short pause. We'll be right back with part two.